Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are back in The Last Caretaker. I know I said the number 4 was going to be the last one, but I figured I would do, this is kind of a combination of a follow-up to conclude. We're still here at Exodus Station. Also a bit of troubleshooting observation, made some changes, did some discovery. We left off, I was pretty frustrated, and I made some discoveries. Also did some major modification here. I don't think I did that one on camera, but so I basically lined up 6 tanks in dual rows right here down the center line. Now I've moved some oil, so a lot has happened. So basically went back up to Blackvein Station, filled up. I believe that's where I changed to 12 tanks, mostly because production being production. So if I light off the distillation tower up on the main platform, the launch platform, it basically, I never get ahead of it, which is to say the 6 tanks on the ship move to the 6 tanks up on the launch platform, and that's it. So I'm never ahead of it. So the idea here is, as you can see from this this one tank here, we're pretty much down to 50%. So my 12 tanks here into the 6 tanks up there, and I still have a bit left here. Now, what I've discovered, so we talked as we left off on the other episode here. We were having some issues. So what I discovered was that this doesn't work. So the only thing that really truly works is, in the case of the boat, I have to set this as output and this is output. So basically input to the tank, input to the boat, and then it will pull everything in. So I'm not sure why a forced input output in a single line stream does not have the same effect, but it doesn't. So if you do it at the tank, so of course you can see here 2000 out of 2000. So I'm already full on the boat here, so I've accepted all the diesel I can. So I basically set these back to what they were. Well, I guess I haven't, have I? So let me go ahead and do that. Set that to equalize, even though that would, in the end, not be what I really want to do. So we are empty there. So we're empty there because I've set this to output only. Right? So, okay. Let me back up. Let me back up. One of the things I've done in some other places is have an input on the tank and an output on the tank. And the idea there is, so I have a direct line to the tank, and I'll be a little generous and say both directions. So in this case, there is a connection directly to the tank for diesel from the launch platform, diesel supply. So those tanks up there, there's 4 tanks up there. And the 5th tank here, there's 13 tanks now on the ship, on the boat. So the idea was, so as we're facing it here, that right side connection is all set to equalize all the way back to the launch platform. The output here in this case, the other side of the tank, the left side there, as you can see the green out arrows, is going to the boat. So it is just shoving everything onto the boat. It's not asking, it's going until it can't take any more, and then it stops. So what I'm really trying to do is force it so it goes, rather than attempting to equalize across all of these tanks. Now the other side of this equation is I have 12 tanks for oil on the boat. We have 6 tanks up on the launch platform, and we have 1 tank here. So the idea here, this same concept, the right side in this case, I'm forcing it up there even though it's not doing anything, because all those tanks up there are full, and then I'm still doing the input on the left side here. So this is diesel's, this is the oil supply versus the diesel delivery to the ship. So the idea here is that I'm pulling everything possible off of the ship into this oil tank. That's what this input is for. That's why it's set to input. And then this one was it's kind of irrelevant, but it made sense, and I left it. It made sense when I had the 6 tanks, because I didn't want this tank to be holding oil when I needed it up there. Now granted, it's all equalized, so it would pull it in anyway, but you know, 6 tanks, right? That was my logic. So just like we're doing on the diesel tank on this side, we could set this one to balanced, to equalize, and it would be perfectly fine, because I've got 12 tanks versus 7 tanks. So I lied earlier, it wasn't at 50%, it's just a bit below 50%, 2,000 liters less than 50%. So anyway, I discovered as long as I do input here, it will take it until it's full. It will not equalize, so as long as I do that directly on a tank, and an input to the tank or an output to the tank, it will work. So at least that part is consistent. So ended up changing this, so I've got 2 lines from the tank to the ship, to the boat, and then the other side of the tank is going up to the platform. So that was the change. Rather than using the extender as a T, I'm just using them as corners and switches to make it look a little nicer. So unfortunately we have the crisscross here, but no real way around that, just like we saw in the episode up there. So another little frustrating thing is, as I was kind of harping on, there are other, the cables just randomly disconnect, and I can't come up with any real rationale. Let me turn the torch off there. I can't come up with any real rationale behind it. They come loose. So okay, in this case, so we're still powered diesel and oil like we were before. We are done with the diesel. Nothing to be done there. So that's E and Q to pull that one off. I'm really not using electric, so I'll go ahead and pull that one off. And that's a Q as well. Reel that one in. We'll leave the oil, because what I'm going to do is light off the distillation tower. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking tonight here. So the distillation tower, once that starts going with this still connected, will pull more as it burns. So that's the idea there, is I really want to see all of this working. Now the downside is, like I said, we're fighting with the cable disconnects here and there, and this is all the cables. It's not just one or the other. I also did some changes. I came back through and squared everything up. So I did this up top and here and around the corner. So all of these are now kind of following the same path. No triangles, anything like that. So let's go on back in here. We're going to go up to the platform. We're going to light off the distillation tower. And hopefully that line will have stayed intact by the time I transit back up there. Ooh, it's dark. So as I had expressed earlier, I went back to Black Vein Station. I actually stopped by another seed reserve. I managed to get 4 to the surface, all 4 seeds to the surface. The downside, I didn't have as many shenanigans as had happened before, but one of the things I discovered as I find it very frustrating you're in high seas up there, and so the ship is shaking, you're rocking, everything, and so in the instance where you basically go forward, miss the ladder, slam into the ship while you have the seed grabbed, it phases through the hull and is stuck there. You can't get to it because in my case, I presume I was about the engine room, which means I can't get in there. It's phased in through the hull, behind the engine. You can't see anything. Now, ultimately, I discovered it was there because when the seeds expire, which is to say they reach that hour timer, they turn into the pink blobs. And so I had the pink blobs in the engine room, so I know it did phase through, and eventually that's what happened. So the downside was I only had 3 usable seeds, even though I carried 4 out of that particular seed reserve. So went from the seed reserve down to Lazarus complex, changed those 3 seeds into humans, grew the humans, brought them here, which is exactly why we're here, got them onto the rocket, got the rocket sent off, and then revisited the fluids transfer mechanisms, which is of course getting exceedingly complex over both the distances here. I did leave that small dock as petrol and oil, so we have now 2 input stations for oil, but we have delivery stations to the boat. Correction, the petrol would be to come onto the platform here. So we have delivery for oil and petrol at that small dock below over here. This one down here. Can't see it, it's behind, but that one there. And then we have diesel delivery to the arrivals dock for the boat, because ultimately the boat needs that. And then oil, which is from the boat onto the platform. So the transfer of oil there. So we'll go and have a look, and I want to light off the distillation tower and see if this is working still. I can't see the diesel anymore, unfortunately, because the boat is full. So I would love to be able to see both directions of diesel transfer, but can't do that. So this is how this all worked out, which you did see on camera there. Oh, what was that? Green something. So I guess I could get my torch on here. So I carried these over. I did change the direction here. So originally I was going across all of this mess down over to about there where the distillation tower is, and hooking in using that extender as a T. And instead, I was thinking, okay, I've got two directions in for oil. One is coming up from that small platform. Now the other one's coming in from the arrivals dock. So this ultimately is the arrivals dock, which comes over here. And then this one coming up from below, this one right here, is from that small dock. So at this point, we have both of our oil. So this is coming from the arrivals dock. This is coming from that small dock, which ultimately ends up with both oil delivery lines coming to this. And then I replumbed in this other end because once I discovered that if I force it on a tank to be input right here, so this is on the tank, so now all of the oil delivery lines that come into a single pipe ultimately go to this input on this series of 6 pipes, or 6 tanks, sorry. So in the end, we fill completely. So with it set as equalized down below, it's still going to pull in from either of those tanks to the point where these 6 up here are full. So very likely in the process, before I switch this, the tank below on the small dock was already full. But as I use the oil from these tanks, it will pull that in. So that's the theory anyway. All right, so we'll go back around. These are these 4 diesel tanks here. So these are my 4 supply diesels, and they're all empty. So everything, well, not quite. I've got 33 liters. So I'm not exactly sure why it disconnected at that point. Probably because, probably because the diesel tanks on the boat are indeed full. So likely if I used any at all, they would pull that last 33 liters. All right, so this is, of course, the distillation tower. It is turned off because if you leave it running, it will burn electricity. And this is 60 kilowatts. So even though I have, I think, 20 batteries here on this station, it does burn. So this is where I had connected previous, which should work, but doesn't, or at least not as intended, which is to say I want to transfer everything off the ship, off the boat when I bring it. So all right, let's we'll go ahead and turn this on the okay. Oh, because the tank down below is empty. Okay. All right, on the good side, we are pulling, we'll review, we're pulling oil out of the tanks, plural, and we are generating diesel, we're generating petrol, and we are ultimately dumping plastic. So we will dump some plastic. Okay, so we can see all of this is working. We're filling the diesel tanks. We're going diesel this way, which most likely means we're going all the way to the boat, which is to say we're filling that diesel tank down there on the arrivals dock. Now, if that's the case, and we'll go around the corner and look, that means that we have a good path all the way there, so it didn't disconnect on the way. Now, as I turn around, this is what I also wanted to see. So this is oil coming in. I want to see, okay, it's coming in from the boat. Okay, in this case, I'm not seeing any come in from the small dock, which means maybe that tank's already empty. So on the good news here, we are producing petrol. It looks like it is actually going down to the dock there. We'll hang over the edge and have a look. Yes, that is the case. It is. We can see it. So it is going and filling that tank, which it makes a certain amount of sense because we used some petrol running the Saboteur reactor, which is to say running the generator which generated CO2, which the Saboteur reactor uses. So ultimately to generate the methane, we're burning petrol to get there. So we can see that works all the way down to this dock. So hopefully everything is good there. I suppose while I'm there, you can see one of the upgrades I did out here. So there are now 14 Lumimax out here. So one of the other things I did off camera while I was doing this run around. So I ultimately delivered the seeds successfully, which the 3 remaining seeds to Lazarus Complex. Oh, look at the slugs down there. So successfully delivered those seeds, generated my my humans, and then we did a bit of a touring around. And what I was brainstorming was that I've got 3 or 4 places that I'm really going to go. So obviously I'm going to spend some time here at Exodus. So having this set up pretty well. Let me turn off my torch. You can watch all the slugs in the little schools of slugs. I don't know if that's a correct group term for slugs or not, but kind of behave like fish when they're in the water. So we'll call it a school for now until someone educates me. So we did the tour. So I've got Exodus that obviously I'm going to go to. Black Vein Station obviously I'm going to go to. I figure one of the things I will also do off camera is go ahead, now that I'm actually using the boat as a tanker, we'll go ahead and set up Sanctuary 37, the original starting platform, for use with oil, which is to say I can deliver oil there and then the oil can be used. So I really want to do a lot of reworking, adding tanks, moving tanks around, seeing. I saw somebody with a picture where they had stacked diesel tanks. So rather than bolting them against the bulkhead like I did in Sanctuary with those 6 tanks there, I want to see if I can stack tanks, which means hopefully I could go to 9. If I can, I'll have to figure out how to have something to stand on. But figure out if I can stack. If I can stack, then I could fit more tanks into a more condensed area. All right, so we see petrol moving. So sorry, I get off onto another tangent here. So basically, I revisited about 4 platforms on the way. So I refit the ship. We did the boat tour. And I had all those containers. So one of the things I did was color code all of them on the overhead. Changed a few things around, and then what I was doing is originally when I cleaned at a platform, I left all the materials there. I really didn't need them on the boat. I had a bunch on the boat because I cleared Sanctuary. So my thoughts were, because conceivably there's no need for me to revisit any of those other platforms. So I went back to 4 of them. I collected everything that I had left there and then put that on the boat. So I'm actually really putting some weight, some serious weight on the boat. Up to and including now there's 12 oil tanks, and on the good side, it goes through heavy seas. The boat goes through heavy seas really, really well. It cuts through the waves rather than bouncing up and down. So I'm not seeing nearly as much bounce up and down. Having said that, the last time we were up there, we were on the previous version. So they've got a new production version out. So potentially that's because of how that did. Having said that, when I came out with the 6 tanks, it was a whole lot more stable than going in. So I'm thinking that extra weight is actually doing the boat physics some good. Now, here's the downside. My normal top speed with the weight previously was about 44 kph. I dropped down to 42 with all of that extra weight. Which, I mean, you lose 2 kph, that's really not that bad, all things considered. So, hopefully the upgrade path for the boat will come to fruition. I'm hoping that they will do something. I mean, I would love to, like, have a tanker. I think that would be just, have like 100,000 liters, as a tanker. I mean, 100,000 liters is a tiny tanker in the real world, but usually the tankers are several million barrels. So a barrel is 55 gallons, so several million barrels would be several million times 55 gallons. So to put that all in perspective, if I had 100,000 liters of oil, I think that would be absolutely hysterical, because I would drive it to here and dock it, leave it connected, and then it would just dump oil forever, which would be kind of hysterical. Probably I'd go by Sanctuary 37 and fill those oil tanks, however many oil tanks would be there, and then come back and park here and then go with my boat. So anyway, dreams of the future. So this was kind of fun. We're seeing all the different pipes transport all the different substances. So this is actually really neat to see. I suppose if we'll go ahead and now this isn't we'll see it for a moment. The downside is I don't have any methane being used. So that's the downside. Eventually, I think the generator will shut off, but or maybe it won't because of that strange bug. I don't know if it's a strange bug or not. So anyway, here we get to see exactly how colorful all the lines are. If I had oxygen, which of course is white, and then the green and the methane going simultaneously, it would be kind of cool just to see it all, capture it all on video, so how colorful everything gets to be. But rather than just burning power and everything for no reason. Because the Saboteur reactor does use some power, no question about that. In fact, let's look at that. I want to. How much exactly does that use? Ramping upwards to. I guess it's going to go to 60. Yep. So the distillation tower is 60. Apparently, the Saboteur reactor is 60, and the oil pump is 60. So those are big consumers. All right, so on the good side, The transfer out to the arrivals. So this should be, I don't think we'll be able to see the oil coming in, but yeah, the oil's a little dark, and it's not, you know, a bright. So we can see the diesel going out to the front, which I'm guessing is going into that tank because the boat was already full. And then oil obviously coming up from there, and ending up going into, it's not really going into the tanks, but it's being consumed by the distillation tower here. So as it's producing diesel and producing petrol, then we're consuming oil. So the idea here is the tanks are, it looks like, remaining full. So that part of the functionality to just pull in everything it can get is apparently working well, which I'm very pleased about. And theoretically, what I'm guessing is it's really using everything from the tank that's on the arrivals dock and the 12 tanks, or what remains in the 12 tanks on the boat. So probably, conceivably, once those run out, then it starts drawing from the tanks here. So it basically keeps these topped off, which is cool. Exactly what I want. So effectively, we'll have 7 tanks that will remain entirely topped off, and then the draw right now will be coming from the boat tanks. So this is good. So now that this is actually flowing, we'll go back out to the boat, because I want to see if my theory holds. Then we have diesel going into that tank. And so here's these. So the good news is, as we swing around to midday, the sun is coming around in this kind of an arc. So these guys actually do really well. I was seeing about 110, 120 kilowatts from this group of 14 panels. So it was pretty cool. So definitely charging the batteries. We were using more. And we can see that even now. So we are actually, you can see we're using quite a bit over there at the distillation tower, but we have plenty going backwards over here, which is going into this battery bank. So we can see this is all traveling into the battery bank. And apparently we're coming from the battery bank on the other side to get these up. Alright, so we'll go out and around and down. We'll take the tram across. I want to check my inventory, make sure I don't have anything extra here. Nope. Oh, it is neat to see it actually functioning. This is awesome. So this is proof you can actually do some pretty large-scale logistics engineering in the game already, even though it's just barely early access. So of course we are headed back over to the I think we're calling it the arrivals dock. I've seen some folks in Discord calling it that, so I will go ahead and follow suit. So what I don't know is, vanished. Okay, I think it's a distance thing with that one. So when I'm up there, so one of the things I have to do is I launched that the last rocket I have not collected the reward for that one, which is really to say I have to find the drop pod, because the drop pods they're on the map at the boat, but they just all say new. So I don't yet have any ready way to remember other than to say, okay, I've been to that one. I know I've been to the one that was over here, and there were two over here, and there was one over here, and I don't know what happened to the first two. I think that was my 7th launch. Might have been my 6th. I think you can actually look at that in the Pico terminal, on the Pico terminal. So we're going to try that. So you can see all the humans that you have launched into space on the terminal. So thankfully, in the time it took us to get over here, it is still materials flowing in both directions, which is still awesome to see. Nice to see that all that pipe work is actually working. All right, almost made it round trip here. Closed door. I was thinking about adding more solars up here. I don't know. All right, so we can see flow. It is definitely coming off the ship. We can see that. And indeed, the diesel is going into the tank. Yep, going into the tank. So we're pulling off the ship, and because this is input, it is maintaining all of these, should say 2000. Yeah, so basically the draw off the ship, the volume coming off the ship is what is. So let's look and see what the flow rate is. Whoa. 20,200 liters that distillation tower goes through in an hour. So that's quite a flow rate. So on the plus side, it is now working as intended, which is to say it is indeed pulling everything off the ship. It's not trying to equalize, it is pulling off the ship. When we run out of oil on the ship, then it will start drawing from these 7 tanks and then do what it does, which might actually be 8 tanks, because I think we still have one on the platform down below, and we could go have a look at that. In fact, we might, just for fun, because we did see petrol is going into that, or was going into that. We don't have a diesel tank over there, so as soon as those fill up, where are we at? At 1,200 liters. So this, let's go ahead and see where we're at here. I'm just curious, we still have quite a bit. So 500 in all of these tanks, so 500 times 12, there's still 6,000 liters on the ship here. Oh, sorry, 500, yeah, 6,000 liters. All right, let's run back to the other platform. I'm curious. I have to make a little jump. You know, I'm terrible at acrobatics. Thankfully, it's a pretty straightforward jump. So the last couple times I've been here, I have not had to re-clear any critters. So I'm guessing there are certain platforms where the critters do not respawn. And I'm thinking Exodus is one of them. I'm pretty sure Black Vein Station is also one of them. Oh, I also put 3 solars down here on this side. So it just seemed the most logical because the sun path is on this side. So I did that. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, can't see. Oh well. Alright, so heading back across, so where we're headed is this platform over here. So we have the, I have no idea what that was supposed to be, maybe a tank of some kind, I mean cylindrical and all. And then originally this was, my thought was because I can get the lines here closer. They're much shorter lines to get here. Not that it matters. I mean, so if we apply real world physics, liquid physics, the longer the distance something goes through a pipe, the more friction, right? So from end to end, that friction increases, just like resistance in a wire. So in long distances, we lose more voltage on a wire, especially as current draw goes up. So not the case here. The cables appear to be whatever the limits are, down the entire length, whatever that happens to be. So it's daylight. I'm not seeing any more red bubbles flowing, but it might just be the distance, or the petrol tank might be full. So that's also very possible. But either way, so I'm suspecting, because this tank here is part of the 8 tanks, that everything will have balanced. Maybe it is still flowing. Hard to see during the daytime. I do see little sparklies there, so perhaps yeah, it looks like it might still be flowing there. Definitely see a lot of sparklies there. That's an interesting shadow. That's probably because of the way the graphics works on this machine. So what I discovered is if I go up to medium or high, which the graphics card should be able to handle just fine, apparently there's enough loading and processing on the CPU that I get really laggy. And so I have to run this machine on low graphics, unfortunately. So the shadows and that sort of thing render weirdly. Can I say that? Bizarrely. Alright, so our petrol flow has stopped, unfortunately, but my suspect here, I am suspecting that is entirely because I have zero flow up at all. So my guess is that, though, that's because those tanks are full. So one of the other discussions, the suggestions, is for the ability in late game to be able to repair. And I'm hoping that will in fact be the case, that we will actually be able to repair stuff like this in the future. Now, initially, of course, it's part of the challenge. Even though I hate the gymnastics stuff, I utterly loathe the gymnastics crap. to me, that is a total immersion breaker. And how did this break? Okay, clearly this was a heavy object that came through, but where? You know, it seems like there was a piece of the deck up here that would have gone through. So this is kind of a, what the hell broke this? If it was sufficient enough to break that, why isn't there a piece missing? So some of it to me is just, you know, barring reality. All right. So I guess I gotta turn my torch on so I can see what I'm doing here. We do the enter, and then S for down. This isn't actually a really long ladder. So like I was explaining before, you have a bit of view. Alright, so if my theory is correct, the petrol tank is full, and the the oil tank is full. Alright, so let's see if I have these set up correctly. So this one is set up indeed for input, which means whenever I am drawing from the boat, so when I'm hooked up to the boat over here, it's going to input into this tank, and then everything on this side will equalize. So that is indeed what I want. Okay, interestingly, this pushed everything up. So if I wanted to do equalize, which I think I will, yep, and it is behaving as I would expect. So now it will be 8 tanks in this particular series, because it will use this one, it will use the one on the dock as we saw, and now it will pull everything in from the boat on this one. So the only other thing that I could do, and I don't think I have, I've got the cable, I do not have the materials, which is to say iron and plastic. So my thoughts are, if I come in starboard, which is to say dock to starboard, then having the connections up here would be good. If I come in port, then having the connections over here is good. So here we can see, can't see the one out there. So we see this one here, which I have collected in the past. This one was the last one to drop. I don't know where the actual new one is. And as I was leaving the station before, I think I was headed up to Black Vein Station. It dropped. I actually saw it drop. So what I'm wondering is if it waits until you were actually underway on your boat before it drops. I don't know that. That's my working theory at this point. Alright, so here's what we've discovered. The petrol tank is full. So it is part of the conglomerate. So basically this would be, there's 2 petrol tanks above and 1 here, which makes 3 tanks total, so 6,000 liters. So if I were to take on petrol from the boat, I would have 2,000 liters remaining on the boat, because there's 4 tanks on the boat. And diesel, I have 12 tanks, oil, I have 12 tanks on the boat. I don't guess I'm going to go any more than that. I probably could put 2 more pairs on before they're in the way. So I may do that. I'd have to change that end a bit. Arguably, I could put another 2 forward. So technically, I think this is in my mind's eye, I could put 18 tanks, 18 oil tanks on the ship. Don't know if that's practical or not. I was very pleased to find that it didn't change the handling characteristics of the vessel too much. I was really worried that that would start getting into that weight weird stuff, but it did not. So I'm glad for that. All right, on the positive thing, we can see that this is working as planned. We are almost up to the max capacity here, which means we're really pulling off the boat. Oh, look at that. Stopped at 1999 on version 1999. So my guess, this is just a guess. Oh, maybe not. Let me look. Huh. So we have no flow. It is not needing repair, so it's not a repair issue. So my thoughts are we have pulled everything off the boat, and which is entirely possible. And what I wanted to do, what I wanted to see is that this start to go down. Maybe it's just going to sit there at 1999. Yeah. Either way, we got to see fluid motion, which was actually really cool. So it looks like all the tanks at all the various platforms are functioning as expected, which is a good thing. The downside is, you know, every save game, every visit back to the platform here, the cables disconnect. Cables, hoses. So far, every time back, I have had to troubleshoot power, and in this case, the fuel lines in all directions, which is a little frustrating. So hopefully that will be a bug that they will fix reasonably quick. Don't know. I hope. Even with the laggy, thankfully I can jump okay. That would be really frustrating if I could not jump because too much lag. That would be horrible. Alright, go up the stairs instead of taking the ladder. It would be cool if eventually we could fix these emplacement tanks. That would be actually really awesome, because there's a bunch. There's those up there, there's this one over here, this one over here. So I mean, that would be really neat if we could, you know, play with the tanks. Alright, so we're still seeing oil flow, which means we're still pulling in oil from the boat. But now the downside is we're just burning it. So apparently I'm at capacity on diesel. We are definitely at capacity on petrol, because we saw that down below. But this is one of those interesting things that I call this a bug. So in this case, the machine is running, but it's not producing anything except plastic, apparently. But it's running. It is consuming oil, which seems like if it does not have any place to send out the oil, send out the refined products rather, that it would go into standby, but not doing that. So in this case, we will not continue to burn oil, and we can see all of our oil has stopped. Watched it cascade. Alright, so this is the, well, we're trying to do an E-hold loot. We will take this over. I'll show you one last. So this is the solar panels. You can see how they're swiveling around. So the good news is, because the sun arcs in this way, all of these panels are actually exposed for a good portion of the day, so they are not producing a damn thing. Oh, maybe that's entirely because the batteries are all up. So at least you carry with you a convenient test methodology. Okay, I see a little bit, which is good. So when you see those go bright like that, you know it's connected back to a stable source, which is really to say your wires are connected as expected. So that's one of my troubleshooting methods, is when I know electric is having a problem, I can go and plug in and test all the way back. Alright, so we'll get back to the boat, get to kind of back to the start, if you will. Oh, I gotta drop the plastic off here. I'll show you the one other thing I did here. So because I had so much in terms of material on the boat, I put another row. Originally I was going to put a second row here, and I started running into all kinds of collision box problems. So I can paste them all in, but this is where I get a little frustrated with collision box, and hopefully they will change this in the future. But from my perspective, when you're building and you get a green, that should build. There should be, nothing stopping it from building. If it does not turn green, then it won't build. That makes sense. I got it. But if it turns green and you paste it in, paste the skeleton in, then it should build. But they don't, or not always. So that was a little frustrating, because what I would have done was built the second row that was up here on the bulkhead, and then eliminated this one on the ground, or potentially put the third one in on the bottom of the bulkhead. Now, I don't know conceivably that I would ever need 27 boxes here, but well, don't know. So anyway, having this second set of boxes, the good news is this up here is all the extra stuff that I brought from the boat. So I just had so much stuff on the boat. It was like, okay, this is insane. Where am I going to use that? So conceivably, I can do a lot of work here. Now I've upgraded, I've done all the things I could think of at the moment, but I tend to dwell on things, that part of the OCD engineer thing. So don't know. Maybe I will come up with some other stuff that I want to do here. The good news is now I have the materials here to do it. There's a good spattering of materials. Now, where else? I still have a lot of platforms to go to that I need to pick up the materials, and it's just like when I see them, oh, I need to go there, and it's on the way, so I go. I was rattling off my list earlier. So here, obviously, Exodus Station, where we're launching. Lazarus platform. I could do a lot more there. So like I talked about in one of the previous series, Seeds of Humanity, I think is where I discussed that, where I visited the roof and I still had the wind turbines, the side where you could see I still had wind turbines. So I've changed all that. So everything on the roof is solar now, and everything on that side balcony is also solar. So I eliminated the wind turbines. Now, from what I could see, the wind turbine damage, the damage that it takes is less. So it was significantly less. It looked like about half of what it was, but it's still significant degradation, which I just don't like. I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to keep repairing just for the sake of repairing. So I still believe that degradation is a bug, because it's I I don't want to sound harsh against the developers, but I feel like anybody would have a very, very hard time arguing the justification for detriment that quickly. Degradation that quickly makes no sense from an engineering perspective. If you can't design something that's going to work for a realistic amount of time, then the other side of that is the solars don't degrade at all. So how does that work? Arguably, it's the same. It's the same type of engineering. We're moving something around, or something is moving. I would say the solars would have a higher degradation quotient than would the wind turbines, which are designed to move. A solar panel is a big flat sail that wind is going to whip in and around. You're going to put really a lot of stress on that movement motors, really, because you've got the elevation motor, which moves the effectively bottom of the panel up and down, and you've got the azimuth, which is going around the compass as it rotates. So you've got the two different axes of motors in the solar that conceivably would work really, really hard in the wind, if not break. So to me, that should degrade much more readily than the wind turbines, which are designed to function in the wind. Especially the Typhoon, which is, storm certified. Let's look at what it says. Skills. Typhoon with extreme weather durability. Not. All right. So, anyway, off we go to the boat. So, bottom line, got rid of all the wind turbines. We'll continue to do that. I did that on Sanctuary 37. So the only other place conceivably I could go to, I really liked Nomad's Tower. I thought that was fun. Now, here's the thing. If that was like my vacation home, it would make sense. But in the case of, we're the robot, we have a very specific duty here, which is to collect all the seeds, ultimately change them into humans, and then, deliver them here, launch them into space, right? So that being our primary mission, we are a robot, which means we don't need to sleep, we don't need recreation, so might have a hard time justifying that. But I really did like that platform. So that is, of course, is a unique platform. There's all kinds of habitats, which, yes, they are all unique, but they are a habitat, right? So you're going to see all the same thing. There's nothing special there other than there are a lot of memories at all of them. So that part is good. Good. I think every habitat I've been on, I would have to guess between 10 and 20 memories at every one of them, even excepting there was a very, very small one that I think it only had one, which makes sense. It was one effectively 20 foot Connex box on a platform. That just, I mean, it makes no sense being out where it was, but it is. I mean, it was one of those hidden things. It's outside the beacon range, so unless you knew where it was, somebody posted a map, so it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go here. So in that case, there was, I think it was one memory. It might have been two, but so your graves, great source of memories. Which there are a bunch of graves. I haven't counted them, but there's a bunch. So those you're gonna find 10, probably at every grave. And how about down? Push the down button. So beacons are another place I have to revisit because I left all the materials there. So gotta go there. Most of the beacons I think I put wind turbines on as well, so that will be that'll be something I'll want to do, is change out the wind turbines for solar. I mean, after the initial charge, and the devs have kind of said this, is that once it's charged, you can disconnect it. You don't have to leave it connected to power. It does not require power after that. So from that perspective, all right. So we have stopped taking fuel down here, which is a good thing. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this. We do not need that here. I wish we had little signs, because I mean, it should be obvious to see, okay, this is going to a oil tank, this is going to a diesel tank, so should be able to kind of figure that out. The electric is the electric. But I really feel strongly about the whole color coding thing. Let's see what our tanks are at. We're definitely not very much left. 189, that's where it stopped. Alright, so ultimately want to go back up and get more fuel. Like I said, I could probably put 2 more tanks, which I think would bring us to here, but I really think that would be in the way. So max 1 more pair, and then arguably I could put 1 up here, because I don't really go on the bowsprit much, but that I would have to kind of go around it, because that's going to go to probably right here, which means I could squeak by, but do you want to? So don't know. So that might mean 2 more pairs, so 4 more tanks, so that would be 16 tanks total. Now nothing stopping me from going out here. I did find some extra furniture, so I threw those on. This was kind of a throwback from my demo playthroughs. I would always steal chairs and a table and throw it up here, because I don't know, it's probably just me having been a sailor for 30 years. Alright, so with that, let's we'll charge. We will go ahead and save the game, and then we'll terminate the episode, I think. So I think this is really a better conclusion than what I did in number 4. I really didn't have anywhere to go with that one, but a lot of stuff happened while we were gone. In the end, collected a whole lot of materials that I just kind of left around. But I did, do another seed trial. I'll go ahead and phrase it that way. Not as many shenanigans, thankfully not shenanigans with the boat. I did have a little bit of a conflict with the shark, but it de-rezzed, which was nice. So apparently they're only there for a little while. So on that side of things, at least I got 3 of 4 seeds. So conceivably, the next one, the next seed reserve we visit, we should get 4 of 4. So my first trial with the seed reserves was 2 of 4. So that's a hideous record there. Then the next one was 3 of 4. So hopefully we can do the next two as 4 of 4. So I do need to replace those 3. Have not done that yet, but we'll get there. So with that having been said, thank you so much for watching. This is Kenty Tiger signing off, and we'll catch you next time.